We are standing at the epicenter of a silent monetary revolution. This is the end of a 50-year era, an era in which the US dollar and the fiat money system sat on an absolute throne. The cracks are no longer just on the paint. They have spread all the way down to the foundation. A new order is taking shape in the shadows, more brutal, more decentralized, where trust is no longer placed in politicians' promises, but in real-value gold commodities and mathematics. In today's episode, we will strip away the raw truths the mainstream press prefers to avoid. We will stare directly into the eyes of the inflation monster, touch the decay of an empire with our own hands, and most importantly, find a way for our own wallets to survive. Welcome to the real world, where there are truths society does not want you to know. When the greenback bleeds, to understand why the USD is in danger, we don't need reassurance from the White House or the Federal Reserve. We need to look at the numbers. Numbers are the only language that does not lie yet. They can be brutally cold. America's power has been built on two pillars, the military and the dollar. But now the second pillar is being hollowed out from the inside by America's own greed and arrogance. Cut 1. The shift in faith. Gold-crushing bonds. For half a century since Richard Nixon closed the gold window in 1971, the world was forced to play by one rule. US government bonds were the safest asset on Earth. Commodity exporting countries like China, Vietnam, and Japan, and oil exporters like Saudi Arabia earned USD. And what did they do with all that paper? They were compelled to recycle it, buying US treasuries to earn interest. America printed paper in exchange for the world's real goods, and the world sent that paper back to America for safekeeping. A perfect circle of sophisticated extraction. But the wind has shifted. For the first time in modern financial history, something strange is happening. The total amount of gold held by central banks and institutional investors is trending towards surpassing their holdings of US treasuries. This is not a routine portfolio rebalance. It is a slap in the face of the Federal Reserve. The world is quietly sending a steel-hard message. I would rather hold a cold, mindless lump of metal sitting in a dark vault than hold Uncle Sam's IOU. Why? Because gold carries no counterparty risk. When you hold US treasuries, you are holding the US government's promise to repay. But what if that government prints money recklessly, destroying purchasing power? Or worse, what if it decides to default in a political sense using sanctions? Look at Russia in 2022. Over $300 billion of Russia's foreign reserves were frozen with a click. That event was a death knell for trust in the USD. Other countries from China and India to Brazil suddenly woke up. If the US can do that to a nuclear power like Russia, it can do it to us too. Gold is different. Gold is freedom. Gold doesn't need a password. It doesn't need the SWIFT system. And most importantly, gold cannot be printed by any old man sitting in an office in Washington. Cut 2. The great exit from 49% down to 31%. This is the number that keeps policymakers on Capitol Hill awake at night, though they will never admit it publicly. Foreign investors' share of US Treasury holdings has plunged from a peak of about 49% around 2011-2013 to just 31% today. Imagine America as a massive corporation. For the past decade, its biggest shareholders, foreign nations, have been quietly, relentlessly dumping their shares. They sell gradually. They sell relentlessly. They pull capital back home. So the question is, who is buying to fill that enormous gap? The answer is bitterly ironic: the Fed and America's own domestic financial institutions. America is sliding into self-cannibalization. When the world no longer wants America's debt, the Fed is forced to print more money to buy its own government's debt under pleasant names like quantitative easing QE or market interventions. This is the classic end-stage symptom of a declining empire. It loses the ability to raise cheap capital from abroad and begins using internal inflation to keep its bloated machinery running. It is like a drug addict who can't borrow anymore and starts selling the furniture to feed the addiction. Cut 3. The gold hunger of the giants, China, Russia, India, Turkey, and even smaller countries like Poland and Singapore. What are they doing? They are buying gold non-stop at the most aggressive pace in over 50 years. In recent months, even as gold has hit all-time highs, Central bank buying has not slowed. Why buy at the peak isn't the rule. Buy low, sell high. Because for these countries, gold is still cheap compared to the risk of a monetary system collapse. They are not buying gold for jewelry. They are not buying it to speculate for a few percentage points. They are buying it to establish a defensive position and to lay the infrastructure for a new payments mechanism. Gold will return to its historical role, the judge, the ultimate settlement asset for trade between nations without going through America's financial plumbing. And when these three trends converge, faith in treasuries fractures, foreigners unload US debt, and nations hoard physical gold at scale. America is being pushed to the wall. And like a wounded beast, America becomes more dangerous than ever. America's strategic triangle and the price the world pays. Never underestimate American power. It may be weakening, but it is still an old lion, cunning and ruthless. To rescue the USD and preserve hegemonic power, America's elites are deploying three brutal strategies at the same time. Understand these three strategies, and you will understand why the world has felt so insane in recent years. Strategy 1. Export chaos, sell fear. Have you ever asked yourself why the world has suddenly become so unstable, so relentless over the past few years? Why Eastern Europe is on fire? Why the Middle East is burning? Why coups in Africa keep happening one after another? Don't be naive and call it coincidence. In geopolitics, nothing is accidental. War and instability are the best short-term cardiac stimulant for the USD. The mechanism is brutally efficient. First, fear. Money flows. When bombs fall and bullets fly, global capital panics conditioned by 50 years of reflex. It rushes to a safe haven. And the cruel irony is the safe haven is still the USD because it remains the most liquid. America exports chaos outward to import frightened capital back home. Second, weapons sales surge. War creates massive demand for weapons. And who is the world's #1 arms dealer? America. Multi-billion-dollar defense contracts are signed. Money flows into the pockets of US defense giants like Lockheed Martin and Raytheon. Third, energy control. War disrupts supply chains and drives oil and gas prices higher. Europe is cut off from cheap Russian gas and is forced to buy LNG 3 to 4 times more expensive from the US. America, once an energy importer, has become a major energy exporter, draining its allies' financial resources. America needs chaos to reinforce its role as global policeman. It wants to send a message: without my protection, your world burns. Strategy 2. The blockchain trap. New bottle, same wine. Many people think blockchain, Bitcoin, and crypto are America's mortal enemies. Wrong. That is amateur thinking. America's elites realized they cannot kill this technology, so they will domesticate it and weaponize it. We have seen the rise of tightly regulated stablecoins like USDC and, more frightening still, CBDCs, central bank digital currencies. America's goal in pushing CBDCs and controlling stablecoins is not to give you financial freedom. The goal is to create a massive sponge that absorbs excess USD circulating around the world by digitizing USD and integrating it into global blockchain networks. America wants to ensure that even if you trade P2P, even if you use cutting-edge tech, even if you live in the deepest corner of the internet, the final unit of account must still be the USD. CBDCs allow governments to track every cent you spend automatically, deduct taxes, and even freeze your wallet if your behavior or your beliefs are deemed unacceptable. This is new bottle. Same wine. Controlling money flows in the digital age, turning currency into a tool of total surveillance. Strategy 3. The interest rates strike, the global sheep shearing machine. Raising interest rates is not simply about fighting domestic inflation. If you think so, you are naive about political economy. Keeping USD rates high for a long time is a weapon of mass destruction for emerging markets. Here is how the blood drain works. When USD rates rise, the dollar strengthens. Investment capital flees emerging markets. Vietnam, Thailand, Brazil back to the US to earn high risk-free returns. Countries that borrowed in USD see their debt burden explode as their local currency weakens against the dollar. To defend the exchange rate, they must either sell foreign reserves, sell USD, or hike domestic rates sky high, choking the local economy. Then the weakest links snap: Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Egypt. And when they default, who saves them? The IMF and the World Bank, institutions heavily influenced by the US, arrive with loans tied to harsh austerity conditions, forcing these countries to sell national resources at bargain prices to Western corporations. This is the periodic sheep-shearing process America has used for decades to restructure the world order in its favor whenever it faces trouble. The future 3 scenarios for an age of chaos. We do not have a crystal ball, but based on macro data, we can outline 3 plausible scenarios, and none of them is rosy. Scenario 1. A long grind stagflation. This is the most likely scenario. America will not collapse overnight, but the USD will lose value slowly and steadily. Inflation will stay high around 4% to 6% instead of 2% while growth limps along. The world will split into 2 clear blocks, the G7 led by the US and its allies, and the BRICS plus sphere, China, Russia, and much of the global south. Global trade fragments. Commodity prices rise due to supply chain ruptures. In this scenario, working people suffer the most. Wages can't keep up, savings slowly evaporate, and you will find yourself working more yet able to buy less. Scenario 2. A sudden shock. A full-scale financial crisis. The Fed keeps rates too high for too long, and something blows up US commercial real estate, Japan's sovereign debt market, or a major bank collapse. This triggers a global default domino. Liquidity freezes. Stock markets evaporate down 30% to 50%. Then the Fed is forced into a 180-degree reversal, rates back to 0%, and money printing on a scale far beyond the COVID-19 era to save the system. The consequence, hyperinflation, follows. The currency loses a massive share of its value. This is when the true death of the greenback occurs, opening the door to a completely new monetary system. Scenario 3. A multipolar order. The USD does not die, but it loses its exclusive crown. It becomes one strong currency among others, sharing power with the yuan, the euro, and possibly a BRICS common currency backed by gold or commodities. Oil trade is no longer priced exclusively in USD. Countries trade using each other's local currencies. This is the fairest scenario, but also the hardest to achieve peacefully, because America will never share power unless forced by violence or economic breakdown. A survival manual, player or pawn. Don't indulge in fantasies. In the struggle among superpowers, America, China, BRICS, me, all of us are just pawns on the chessboard. And of course, they will sacrifice pawns to save the king. Rates, crises, pandemics, these are tools. So when the storm hits, what do? Sit still and wait to die or act. Here is a map so you don't get lost in the coming financial maze. 1. The golden rule. Follow the sharks. In investing, don't listen to what they say on TV. Watch what they do. Keep your eyes on central banks. They hold the world's inside information. They know what's coming years before we do. What are they doing? They are buying physical gold like mad. So, what should you do? Accumulate. Physical gold is the final anchor insurance against a banking collapse or paper money turning into trash. Don't buy paper gold. Don't buy gold certificates. Buy what you can hold, grab and hide. If you don't hold it, you don't own it. 2. Don't ignore crypto. On this strategy, I can't say much because it is sensitive. Pay attention. Study it. Make your own decision. 3. Replan risk. Cash is king, but cash flow is queen. In recession and high rates, cash is king because it lets you seize opportunities, buy assets cheap when markets crash. But holding cash too long in high inflation is also suicide. The solution is cash flow producing assets. High-risk assets, abandoned outskirts land, speculative no-dividend stocks must be purged immediately. Shift into assets that generate money even while you sleep. Real rental property, dividend-paying essential businesses, utilities, water, food, healthcare companies with a history of consistent dividends. When the economy collapses, people may not buy a new iPhone or travel, but they still need to eat, use electricity, and rent a home. 4. Eliminate debt. Cut the slave chains. This is the most urgent, sincere advice. If you have debt, pay it off. The era of cheap money is over. We are entering an age of high rates and volatility. If you are holding floating rate debt, mortgages, car loans, you are holding a ticking bomb. In recession, your income can fall, job loss, pay cuts, while your interest payments surge. This double squeeze will crush you. You can lose everything, house, car, even your dignity. Liquidate non-performing assets to repay debt immediately. Live simply. A lighter load goes farther. Don't become a bank slave in this great restructuring. 5. Invest in yourself. The only asset that cannot be confiscated. In a world where money can devalue, gold can be banned, and land can be heavily taxed, the only thing no one can take from you is your capability and mindset. Learn how to earn independently of location. Learn personal finance. Learn languages. Learn real survival skills. In crisis, the rich are not the ones with the most paper money, but the ones who adapt fastest. 6. Beware Black Swan 2.0. Never assume it won't happen to you. A widening war becoming World War III possible. A new pandemic, worse than COVID possible. The global internet going down also possible. Billionaires in Silicon Valley are building bunkers in New Zealand and Hawaii. It seems they know something we don't. Always keep an emergency reserve cash and gold enough for your family to survive 6 to 12 months with no income. Stock basic medicine and food. COVID-19 taught us a brutal lesson. Civilization is only 3 meals away from chaos. This monetary revolution is not some distant story for men in suits on Wall Street or politicians in Washington. It is the story of rice and clothing of your child's milk and your retirement future. A new world is forming through pain and chaos, where the USD weakens but grows more aggressive, where new blocks rise, and where gold returns to its role. In that world, naivety is a sin, and ignorance will be paid for with everything you spent a lifetime saving. Don't believe in fake prosperity. Don't let the media lead you by the nose. Look at history. The fall of the Roman Empire when they diluted the denarius. The Weimar Republic when people hauled money in wheelbarrows to buy bread. The Nixon shock of 1971. History does not repeat word for word, but it rhymes, and the rhymes of collapse are louder than ever. You have been warned. The storm is coming, and it will not politely knock and ask whether you are ready. The only question left is when the water recedes, will you be wearing protective gear, or will you be naked trying to swim in the current?